Hey, Gav! Yo, bitch! What about excuse me? What was that? Hey, Lexi! I need this!
I have to retire my course. Well, Judge Grady's back in his chambers making his decision. Let's talk to a few people in the courtroom audience. Madam, what do you think? Who's in the right here?
Really empathize with her. Guys only care about women in revealing medieval clothing and take it out the back door.
And what about you, sir?
I really like the part where they talk about elephants doing it.
Back at police. Just the lunches.
WKTT 1066. Because those that drink anything wants to give you come straight to it. WKTT. We know the truth.
Just to luncheons. Judge Grady is coming back into the courtroom with his decision.
Okay. Will you both please approach the bench? Okay, Chuck, face left. Now, Chuck, raise your hand.
I'm sorry, it's an ugly city.
Look, baby.
I love you, baby.
Remember
And I will always remember.
how good this feels.
How good this is.
This shit is fucked up.
You animal. The guy you raped the other day want a rematch. You like your shit.
Oh, I guess.
If you want to rape, give me a call, and I'll hit you up with cocaine. Eat this.
Defendant and the plaintiff have to play. How should we decide this case? Seems pretty unanimous. That's my kind of jury. We're gonna have to go with duel or no duel. Solving things the American way.
You want to die? Listen with the wrong guy.
Trying to give you the signal.
Okay, you can take it down a bit. Some of those good things in the city, you know, back in the days. This one thing, yeah, remember.
Yeah, it's there. Oh, dude, nice. Dying here.
Oh, that's her.
God damn it.
How'd the interview go? Is it done?
Shit, something came up. I didn't make it. Maybe they'll schedule another one.
They fucking better.
Coming to the Split Sides Comedy Club stage, give it up for Mr. Cat Williams.
What's going on, Liberty City? How are you? Good to see everybody out there tonight. It's a beautiful night. DJ's playing my favorite song. Could you just play it one more time? It makes me feel strong. Like I don't know if you've heard this song or not, but it makes me feel strong. Hold on, just play it one more time. Let me see if I can. Okay, hold on. A song like this, you need it as your alarm clock, so you can wake up in the morning to some gangster shit. You just be in the bed, just waiting on it, just going to play. Okay, don't play it again, sir. I'm just saying it's the shit. That's all I'm saying. The song is the shit. That's the national anthem for anybody who ever hustled at all. Even if you're a librarian, play that song in the library and see if it ain't the shit. You just be in the library, just minding your business. Just every day I'm hustling. Okay, don't play it again, sir. Don't play it again. Just saying the song's the shit. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying, if you went to heaven and that song was playing, you know it's finna be a party in heaven. You just walk in heaven. You just Okay, stop it, sir. I said don't play it again. Just saying it's shit. Saying if you went to the grocery store and that song was playing, you buy everything in that bitch, knowing you ain't got 78 Liberty City dollars. You just in the store, just every day I'm hustling, 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 every day I'm hustling. Okay, sir. I said don't play it again. I'm just saying the same shit. That's all I'm saying. Saying it's good for everything. Fellas, if you having a problem in your relationship, stop fucking your woman to slow songs. Tonight, try some special shit. Some shit you picked up from your friend Cat Williams. Fuck her to some gangster shit. Just as soon as it comes on, you just buy the bed. Just every day I'm hustling, 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 hustling. Excuse me looking at you like this, like I gotta go to work in the morning. What the fuck is wrong with you? Just saying the song is a shit. Just saying. If you worked at Burger Shot, somebody came through the drive-thru and ordered a number 7. You looked around, nobody was in that bitch but you. If you could just put that song on the PA system, you'd be okay. You just in the Burger Shot, just every day I'm hustling, 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 hustling. Every day I'm hustling, 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 every day I'm every day I'm every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling. Ladies and gentlemen, Cat Williams, I'm a rock star. Liberty City, you know what it is. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Nico, it's Roman. We should go and get drunk.
I'm so.
We're keeping it real here. We're concentrating on what matters. Making life, not taking it.
I'm gonna have to say, hey, if I shut down X, Y, or Z, I'm just, you know, there's a laundry list here, so I'd be listening to them all day. If I shut down this, or that in the past, I can't even say yet that you're right, but now I can't say you're wrong. So my apologies. Seriously, like a lot of people out there, especially those of you listening who are extremely, if you view yourself as like a level-headed, you know, kind of let's just see what the facts are here person, like you gotta give that to people who have been on the train of like, you know, world's run by satanic pedophiles and like that. Like, well, now you're seeing some of it. Now you're seeing that this like supra government involves people who may or may not be into those kinds of things. Emphasis on may. Emphasis on R, actually.
Now, there's other guys like Nick Kaswani, Blair White, and a ton of other YouTubers going into the details of the files and showing all of what has now come out. I'm not going to go beyond a certain line in this video because some of it is just too dark and too graphic, but I do want to give some sampling of the kind of activity that we're talking about in order to make the point of this video clear.
We have this woman who sends a photo of her baby to Epstein and says, "Your generosity has no limits," after receiving an unbelievable sum in her bank account, and that she's never seen such a number in her bank account. Harvard professor Martin Nowick emailed Ghislaine in 2002 to thank her for her hospitality, and out of nowhere said, "I'm so happy I didn't kill anybody," referring to their visit. I'm glad you didn't either, but why was that ever on the table, right?
The first shocking piece of evidence is the name of Epstein's bank account, which goes by the name Baal, the demon that the Bible mentions that demanded human sacrifice. The document states, please wire $11,438 from the above account to Baal, name Wachovia Bank, N.A. A very weird title to call your bank account, but given the fact that these are child monsters and children were sacrificed to this demon, it makes sense. The next document shows that Epstein was receiving torture videos from a redacted contact. Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video. Just in that document alone raises so many concerning questions. Prince Andrew also tortured a victim and proceeded to have the victim unalive right after, with even photo evidence of the night that it happened. The document says, back in the 90s, Ghislaine Maxwell recruited a girl for a modeling career. Instead of modeling, she was sold as a slave for sex and torture. Prince Andrew was an accessory to her death as he her and me to force her murder. That's just absolutely disgusting.
Nicki Minaj posted, just as the Epstein files were being released, with this tweet: your favorite artists have been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate them and kill them as a form of a blood sacrifice to their god. You see, when their master is Satan, you must constantly shed blood, however the jig is up. People love to disregard this stuff. I think part of it is it's just too painful to hear. And then, of course, if you're an atheist or agnostic, you don't really have a lens to see this from. If you're a Christian who really knows your Bible, you know this is all biblical. This is all laid out.
Joe Rogan, the most popular podcast in the world, has had on multiple guests over the past several weeks filling out details around this same subject matter.
Yeah, there's all sorts.
Did you see the thing in the Epstein files?
Oh, yeah. Like those Epstein files. In fact, I can't believe that, like, everybody just kind of like, oh, okay, and they're moving on with their lives.
Well, I think
on in your normal
people are waiting for a condensed version that lays out all the facts. It's the people that are, like, really interested in reading all the emails.
I think the Luciferians cast a spell on the world. And,
for real?
Oh, absolutely. It's just like how vampires can't go into a house unless they're invited. They tell you, what's going on ahead of time. It's predictive programming. And once you say it out loud and you put it out there and make fun of it and do a little skit like Stephen Colbert did a little skit on his show where, oh, here's a baby. I'm going to take this baby and I'm going to give it to Moloch. And he goes into like a cloudy red, furnace and hands the baby over. And he's, oh, the baby's going to be fine. And they make a joke about it and the audience laughs. Okay, we're all now conditioned to it. And in fact, mundus vult decipi, ergo decipiatur. It's a long-known concept. And so in Latin, mundus vult decipi means the world wants to be deceived. Ergo decipiatur, therefore it is. We want to be deceived. We don't want to believe the horrors that are actually behind the veil.
Well, I think with the Epstein files, people are, because of these emails that have been released, people are just now starting to be aware of the bizarreness of the code and some of the things, like the facts. Like, let's just talk about the sulfuric acid. So this was like right after he was indicted in 2018.
Yeah, I got to get rid of some bodies.
Yeah.
How much did dissolve up some bodies?
What did it say? He ordered 6 drums of sulfuric acid right away. Are you really worried about your reverse osmosis plant right after you get indicted? I feel like you're going to jail.
It looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck. It's probably a duck.
It's probably a duck. 330 gallons of sulfuric acid.
It says this was the only documented purchase order for it.
Well, I just don't think we really knew until we saw those files come out.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, well, there's no denying it now. My position on it is completely shifted. I thought there's probably some really sick people that have an appetite for that, but I hadn't seen any real evidence for it until these files. And now I'm like, oh, this is demonic. This is clearly demonic.
Okay, so thank you for saying that. I'm somebody who was raised a Christian and went to Bible school and that kind of stuff as a kid, in youth groups, and then growing up in Central Coast of California, let's say, veered in different ways. But the experiences that we've encountered over the last half a dozen years, it's hard to come up with a language to express what we're observing in the world other than the language of theology.
There's these references to pizza, a lot of references to pizza that are 100% some kind of a code.
Yeah.
And then it brings you back to Pizzagate.
Yeah.
And which was widely dismissed. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's like, oh, this is a bunch of kooks. Here it is. She said she felt God's presence next to her when she was in bed. She knows that Jesus watches over her and he helped save her life. And then he writes, whoops. And then in response, Jeffrey Epstein says, you should dress up as him when you see her.
It is dark. So we see this darkness. It involves leaders in academia, in science, in industry, in politics.
Another just insane detail that has emerged here is that Lawrence Krauss was trying to get Epstein and Rogan to meet together.
Yeah, I'm in the files for not going, because Jeffrey Epstein was trying to meet with me.
He writes here in this email, sorry about Rogan so far. He seems more timid than I would have thought. This is from Krauss to Epstein regarding Rogan.
One of my guests was trying to get me to meet him. I was like, are you high? Like, what the are you talking about?
For what reason would you? What would be...
If I was a guy who was like sucking up to the rich and powerful.
And what is so ironic about this to me is that this is the same Lawrence Krauss who, like, fairly recently debated Michael Jones of Inspiring Philosophy. And I kid you not, the title of this debate was Christianity or Secular Ethics, which is best for society. You cannot make this stuff up.
A lion takes over a rival pride and kills the cubs of the rival he dethroned and impregnates to secure his own bloodline. Does this mean that it's okay for a stepfather to murder his stepson and that kid's mom in your worldview?
Okay, what he says, a lion takes over a pride and kills the other one. Is it okay for them that?
Look, okay, you know, I hate to do this. I just want to also mention, I got to hold you guys to about 60 seconds. The question is not good or bad. The question is what's natural.
There's already hundreds of, probably thousands of victims who tell detailed, horrific, awful stories about ways that they were abused in the context of satanic ritual abuse.
But like
a global satanic religion?
Oh yeah, dude. Have you gone down the satanic ritual abuse rabbit hole? It is so dark. So what I'm referring to specifically are survivors giving survivor testimony on video, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Like, not like one guy came forward and said this. Like, there are whole support networks for these people. Like, there are psychologists that specialize in satanic SRA victims, satanic ritual abuse. And because you have to like treat them in a whole different way than a regular abuse victim, because the level of depravity and disgusting, like literal torture of children. Like literally, think about Jeffrey Epstein's clientele, right? We know that that's real.
You think
right?
Bill Clinton wanted to pay to watch it?
No. Okay. I'm just saying, like, think this through as a thought experiment.
Okay.
If you have everything in the world, and like lust and power, like addictions, anyone who's ever experienced any form of addiction, whether it's like to alcohol or to Adderall or to like porn or heroin, all those addictions kind of play on this sort of like this feeling, this like desire of like, oh, that just felt so good, and like whatever else is wrong in the world, like that's not wrong, and that's good. That's and they all kind of play on these same things. And powerful people, power, money, that lust for power, when turned towards the lusting and the greed, the darker side of power and money is inevitably an addiction as well in a lot of ways. And not everyone who's powerful and rich goes down that road, but clearly, like the Epstein clients do, like clearly they want children, like they want to do. And there are snuff films, like people pay on the internet right now to watch murder, like to watch these kinds of things, because there's inherently a devil in everyone. I think the way I see it is that there's an angel and a devil in all of us, and you can feed the good wolf or the bad wolf. And some people get addicted to feeding the bad wolf. And a lot of times in a capitalist society that incentivizes greed and lust, like it incentivizes a lot of our worst behaviors, that means that a lot of the worst people will rise to the top of that system.
I still want you to face this evil head on and not try to obfuscate it, not try to say, oh, it's moral relativism, oh, it's just Epstein's genes that are causing him to do that. Like Krauss said, oh, yeah, under the secular humanist worldview, everything is matter in motion, everything is physics and chemistry, and really it's just our genes telling us what to do. In a sense, everything is deterministic. I guess these people's genes just make them do these types of things to kids. Aw, shucks. I guess no one's moral opinion can be better than anyone else's. I guess it's all just determined. It's all just their genes. Like, if the best we can do is say, I disagree with you, or boo Epstein, I hope we can see the problem with that type of worldview. I hope we can see that evil is real and good is real. And that's actually good news in the sense that we start there and then we go, well, then what is the source of good and what is the source of evil? And we start to go upstream and we realize, wait, the only way that there can be real good and evil is if there is some kind of a moral law that distinguishes between the two. And then that would mean that we have a moral compass or a conscience that allows us to perceive rightness and wrongness in accordance with a standard. Well, where does that law come from, or where does that standard come from? I hope that all of this can be a signpost for you to point you back to the moral law giver, who is God. God. Like, what are we comparing all of this Epstein stuff against in order to call it evil? This was the C.S. Lewis question. When we say this world is so cruel, this world is so unjust, this world is so rife with evil, what are we comparing this world against in order to measure that it's broken, in order to measure that it's crooked? Where do we get that idea of a straight line from to call these things crooked? Well, great question, C.S. Lewis. We need that question itself points to transcendence, points to a moral standard, points to a moral law giver, points back to God. I think this is an important moment of awareness of the world exterior, and an important moment to take stock of yourself and of your interior world. If you, for example, just to give one example, consume adult content, are you really aware of the backstory of that actress that you're looking at? Do you know whether or not that is a free person? I know that's a really heavy question to ask, but I think in light of all of this and seeing how broad and widespread these problems are, I think it's a very legitimate question to ask. I want to, first and foremost, I want you guys to see that Christ is the answer, that Christ is the only answer to the problem of evil. I also want you to, at the most practical level possible, be free from the things that so easily ensnare. So if you're a Christian, but you're still under some kind of captivity when it comes to lust, pray, read scripture, call upon the Lord, surround yourself in Christian community, confess your sins one to another to be.
He turned it into a Christian social media app. That's crazy. No, I was like, bro, what is this video turning into, bro? That's so funny. I was like, wait, ad?
A lot has to do with people passing away. Someone had sent me, and I had just saw it talking about Robert Carradine. And you know how sometimes, like I said, you forget people's, like, their actual names. You just know them from the show or the movie. But Robert Carradine, from Nerds, Revenge of the Nerds, passed away the other day. And they were talking about, being bipolar. And I was just like, man. And then I got another message sent to me about Martin Short's daughter, gone at 42 years old, from allegedly the same thing like Tommy Lee Jones' daughter, unalived themselves, allegedly. And I was just like, I know people pass away every day. I say this all the time. We all are going to go someday. I know this. Then they talk about death in threes, and it's been more than threes. Like, if you honestly look at January to where we are, February 25th, if you look at all the people that have passed away, I'm talking about celebrity. Again, people die every day, but I'm talking about these celebrities' deaths. And you don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist because, you know, people be like, oh, you know, this and this, that and that. It is some dark, dark stuff it seems to be going on, man. I'm just keeping it real. Because, like, whenever I think of like celebrities, you know, the first thing in your mind you think about is like them having it all, right? Them having it all, being able to travel and do all these things, you know. I know there's some celebrities that you'll see in movies and they take a little break and they come back because they want to spend time with their family, watch their kids grow up, go to, you know, basketball, soccer, football, baseball, whatever games it is. You know, and you think about the kids like just having this luxury life, but a lot of them are struggling or suffering in silence. A lot of them are. But I don't know, man. I know I ain't tripping because I know y'all feel it too as far as the consistency in which this has been happening. You know, and a lot of these people, I mean, Robert Carradine was only 71 years old. You know, and all of us have, I'm pretty sure all of us have watched Revenge of the Nerds. All of those movies, great movies. And then Martin Short, I heard that, I don't know exactly when, but his wife had passed away as well.
Battle starts in 5,
and now his daughter.
4, 3,
so it's just like,
2, 1.
What is going on, man?
To do is capture the mission area. Got it?
I didn't want to react to the video of it. I just kind of wanted to talk about it. But I'm going to go in the comment section. A lot of people saying, dang, he was an amazing actor. May he rest in peace. Talking about David. I'm sorry, Robert Carradine. Yeah, man. Because they were saying somebody got into a car accident some years back. I don't know, man. I just feel like right now we are living in some wicked times, and it's hard to decipher and figure out like what the hell is going on, man. I'm looking at the comments on the Martin Short's daughter passing away. Says a lot of this going on lately. Yeah.
Nobody can stand up against
I don't know. Like, the thing is, you know, we watch the movies, we watch the shows, you know, we laugh, we cry. All these feelings come about when you watch movies and all that. My side. But they're actors. So a lot of times, most of the times, we don't know what's going on in their personal life. You know, some of these people aren't even nowhere near what you see on screen. And some of them are. There's some people who play roles of a funny person, and then in real life, they may not be. And then you have the opposite. Someone may play like the villain, and then in real life, they're the nice guy. But you get used to what you see. So when you see stuff like this, the first thing you say was, damn, like what the hell was going on? I don't know, man. But again, thank you guys.
You better go hunt.
Because like, it's been videos I haven't even made of people. There was who was it? Jesse Jackson had passed away. Who else, man? I mean, if you go and type in actors who passed away this year, man,
You will not be rid of me so
insane.
easily.
It really is.
What's up?
I'm just hoping, like I said, there's nothing dark going on, but you just never know. Nowadays, you never know. we're living in some wicked, wicked, wicked times, man.
I'll patch you up.
Your team's capture progress has passed that point.
Yeah, like it says actors who passed away in 2026. You have Catherine O'Hara, James Vanderbeek, T.K. Carter. A lot of y'all probably don't even know who T.K. Carter is. Eric Dane, you know, I was watching him. Of course, everybody knows him from Grey's Anatomy, but the show I used to watch was The Last Ship. Kiana Underwood, Robert Duvall, Jesse Jackson. Then you had Robert Carradine, Damon Wilson, Bob Weir. Was that John Forte, Victoria Jones, Bud Cort, Valentino, Tom Noonan. I mean, some of these people, I don't even know who they are. But like, this is just in 2026, man. This list is long. But it's a lot of people who I've never even heard of. But I don't know, man. Do y'all feel like something? It's just something. I mean, life is always gonna life, you know. But I don't know, man. Definitely seem like
So easily.
something strange is going on. I don't know. But appreciate you guys coming over and letting me know. All right, peace out.
Deserve your attention.
Congressman Massey and I went to the Department of Justice to read the unredacted Epstein files. We spent about 2 hours there, and we learned that 70 to 80% of the files are still redacted. In fact, there were 6 wealthy, powerful men that the DOJ hid for no apparent reason. When Congressman Massey and I pointed this out to the Department of Justice, they acknowledged their mistake, and now they have revealed the identity of these 6 powerful men.
What, you want it?
The real question is, will Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna unveil the names of these powerful men? Why don't we wait and see?
These men are Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikaladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner.
The battle starts in 5.
He did it. You've just heard Representative Ro Khanna name 6 of the alleged co-conspirators in the Epstein files, names that were ridiculously redacted, but now we have some clarity on who these individuals are. Now, right off the bat, I just want to say, while there are certainly some emails incriminating some of these people, and I'll tell you which ones we have some potential evidence of wrongdoing for, I want to be clear that not everyone that was listed is definitely someone who carried out child sex trafficking or engaged in any type of criminal behavior. It's important to actually investigate this appropriately. And if there is evidence, bring them to trial and ensure that there are real consequences for it. So let's talk about the names that were just listed right now. So there is little to no information on 2 of the individuals. So I'm not going to be able to talk about them at length at all. And that's Zorab Mikaladze and Leonid Leonov. Look them up. There isn't much information about them online. I'm sure we're going to learn more about them in the coming days. We already know who Sultan Ahmed Al Sulayem is. We talked about him. He's from the UAE, and we've done previous videos where we kind of discussed his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and how Jeffrey Epstein was essentially utilizing that relationship in order to build a relationship between Israel and the UAE. And it does turn out that he's the individual who sent Epstein that torture video that Epstein emailed back to say he really loved. I love the torture video. So again, Ahmed Al-Sulem is the person who sent that torture video. How do we know that? Well, thanks to Congressman Thomas Massie, who posted about it just yesterday, saying, in response to my posts on X today, DOJ unredacted an FBI file that labels 2 individuals as co-conspirators, unredacted a file that lists several men who might be implicated, tacitly admitted that Sultan Ahmed Al-Sulem was the sender of the torture video. Now, he's not an American citizen, so in terms of justice being served, when it comes to the Sultan, I don't think that we can expect much here in the United States. But when it comes to American citizens who have been wrapped up in this case, who have been listed as co-conspirators in the documents, but have never been tried or never stood trial for these alleged crimes, I think that the time has come. I think people are ready to see a real investigation into this, and more importantly, to see real justice for the survivors who were victimized and were denied justice for decades. And I'm going to stop and say this real quick, because this is a broader point about Congress and what can and can't be done by just a handful of Congress members. We have been led to believe that, well, you know, it's our system of government is set up in a way where you can't really have 1 or 2 people make a difference, right? It's bureaucratic, there are checks and balances. But you want to know something? When you have Congress members who are willing to fight to make others bend to their will, as Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie have done. And by the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's no longer in Congress, but she was also a fighter on this issue, and she deserves a lot of credit for it. They've all been attacked. As we know, Thomas Massie is dealing with a primary challenger in his congressional race, but they were undeterred and they kept going. And it's inspiring to see, especially at a time when I am super black-pilled on Congress in particular, it is very good to see that in some cases, if we have members of Congress who are willing to fight, they could actually accomplish something that's really important here. Both transparency and potentially in the future, this is what I'm hoping for, justice for the survivors. So let's talk about the other people that were listed by Ro Khanna. So you have Salvatore Nurara. Didn't know much about him. Apparently, he was a member of the NYPD and served as a detective. He was previously investigated in connection with an escort service through though that investigation apparently had nothing to do with Epstein. It was just a different type of escort investigation that he was facing. So he was one of Epstein's contacts in the Little Black Book. That's all I know about him right now. Again, it bears repeating, just because he's listed doesn't necessarily mean that he engaged in any criminality. If we live in a just world, if we lived in a country that believed in justice, he would be investigated and we would find out what kind of relationship he had with Epstein and whether or not he ever engaged in the predatory behavior that victimized these young girls. Now, there's also Nicola Caputo, who is an Italian politician. He now works in agriculture. His name appears in records linked to Jeffrey Epstein, sourced from a 2009 New York Police Department list. That's all I know about him. So I'm not going to speculate. We're going to wait and see if there will be any investigation into these individuals. But at least some of those redacted names have now been unredacted thanks to the pressure campaign implemented by Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie. So that leaves Les Wexner, the former Victoria's Secret CEO, who we've been hearing a lot about, we've been talking about on the show.
You know that moment right before you launch something new, that pit in your stomach? I remember when I started TYT, I thought to myself, what if no one watches? What if we run out of money tomorrow? It was scary. Stuck or have a question in the process. Their award-winning 24/7 support is there with expert advice. And the best part, that iconic purple shop pay button. It's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. Less abandoned carts.
Why did they redact it? And here is Congressman Massey, describing the fight he had with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche about the fact that Wexner's name was redacted in the files and how Massey ultimately won the battle. Take a look.
I'd like to hear his take on the redaction of the CEO who's listed as a co-conspirator in the 2019 child sex trafficking case.
So can I ask you, because, and I want to ask you if this is the same person, Todd Blanche also said about that tonight that the document you're citing there has victim names in it.
Correct.
Seeming to say that's why there are redactions. He said, we have just unredacted Les Wexner's name from this document, but his name already appears in the file thousands of other times. And he says the Justice Department is hiding nothing. Is that the retired CEO that you're referencing?
It is. He unredacted it after I found it. That's a problem. And I'm glad they've admitted they made a mistake by redacting that.
So you're saying it was redacted when you went in there today, and after you tweeted that, they unredacted it?
Correct.
Look, I don't know if it was a mistake. I wouldn't really give this administration the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the Epstein files, especially because of the fact that they've been engaged in this cover up from the very beginning. Trump wanted people to forget about it, stop talking about it, don't ask me about it. I don't want to release the files. And it was, again, that pressure campaign implemented by Marjorie Taylor Greene, Ro Khanna, Thomas Massey, that ultimately led to Trump bending to their will. But in releasing the Epstein files, as we know, the first tranche was heavily redacted. And the second tranche was both heavily redacted and had questionable redactions. Not just the fact that they were redacting the names of the alleged, co-conspirators, but also because of the fact that they did not redact the names of the survivors. They did not redact the names of the survivors. Also, another thing that was very clear to me is they wanted to redact Donald Trump's name anywhere they could find it. And there was this one strange redaction in an email where the DON in the word don't was redacted. So I don't know if it was like an auto redact thing looking for Donald or Don, but like, come on. So anyway, you could tell where the priorities were when it came to the way these documents were redacted. But I'm glad that we're getting, again, more clarity on what's happening here and who these alleged co-conspirators are. Now, congressional lawmakers were able to pour through some of those unredacted Epstein files beginning yesterday. And what's been kind of incredible to see is how their whole demeanor is and how they react to reporters' questions as they are leaving the halls of Congress after reading those unredacted Epstein files. So let's actually start with my favorite reaction, which is Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. Take a look at this.
Congresswoman, are you among the members who got to see the unredacted files today?
Yes, I saw some of them, not all of them, obviously. And I'll be going back tomorrow to see more.
Any reaction on what you've seen so far?
I think that there's folks who are definitely implicated and co-conspirators. And, I don't think everyone there that was talking about underage girls being trafficked are victims.
Got it. And do you support any clemency for Ghislaine Maxwell? She was saying that she
I do not. Okay. I think Ghislaine Maxwell should get more time, and she should definitely be in a harsher prison than what she's in. It's absolutely disgusting.
There isn't much I agree with Lauren Boebert on, but I definitely agree with everything she said there, especially at the end when she was asked about Ghislaine Maxwell and whether or not she should be granted clemency. Ghislaine Maxwell is a disgusting liar. She has lied under oath. There is no use to hear from her, to hear her testimony. I don't trust that she will tell the truth. And the idea that she would trade testimony for clemency is laughable to me, and hopefully that never happens. But as you can see, after Lauren Boebert looked at those unredacted files, she was shaken by it and upset about it. And if that isn't enough to convince you that there are some shady files there that Lauren Boebert just saw, I will turn your attention to another Republican lawmaker, a Republican lawmaker who apparently, and I can't believe she admitted this on the record, didn't think the Epstein thing was really a big deal and was kind of annoyed by it. Okay, kind of didn't know why people were so focused on, the fact that there was a pedophile ring victimizing American minors, and also obviously potentially doing the same with minors from other countries as well. So I turned to GOP Senator Cynthia Loomis. She's from Wyoming. Here's what she had to say after viewing the unredacted Epstein files.
Well, initially, my reaction to all this was, I don't care. I don't know what the big deal is. But now, I see what the big deal is, and it was worth investigating. And the members of Congress that have been pushing this were not wrong.
No, they were not wrong. You didn't care? You didn't care. Look, there's a possibility that maybe she just had absolutely no curiosity about the Epstein story whatsoever, and she kept her head in the sand. But I just feel that as a public servant in this country, the bare minimum is to have a modicum of concern about the vulnerable in your country. And underage people, vulnerable. Elderly people, vulnerable. In this case, in this context, obviously the people being preyed upon are minors. And the idea that she's like, I don't really care. What's the big deal? But I give her credit for being honest about how she originally felt about this situation. I certainly would have a little bit more self-awareness and maybe not incriminate myself that way, right? But nonetheless, at least she looked at the files and now has come to the right conclusion, which is this is a big deal. This is a huge scandal. It's a huge scandal that is implicating some of the most powerful, wealthy people, not only in our own country, but across the globe. I mean, there is a reckoning in the UK right now. I wish there was more of a reckoning here in the United States. Hopefully we will get there. It's very depressing that we haven't gotten there yet. But for the first time ever, I have a little bit of hope that things might end up the way they're supposed to be. There might actually be justice. And the only reason why I think that is because we have like a handful of lawmakers who are fired up about this, and they're going to keep pushing. And I love to see it. Now, as Congressman Jamie Raskin noted yesterday after viewing the unredacted files, well, they showed evidence of victims as young as 9. As young as 9. So my mind wanders back to Batya Ungar-Sargon on CNN's Abby Phillips show and how she didn't feel that the Epstein files really taught us anything new. You know, no real evidence of criminality here. Okay. So yeah, it is a huge deal. And if there is a confirmation of victims as young as 9, I want to know why haven't charges already been filed, right? Like that should have already happened. But finally, I want to discuss why the survivors, because a lot of people have been asking this, including yesterday. I think it was Box who wrote in and asked, look, why are we like going through this lengthy, arduous process? Like, why don't we just have the survivors name the perpetrators? So I want to show you why it is likely they're avoiding naming names themselves. Because you have a lot of powerful people who are chomping at the bit to further destroy these women's lives. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, take a look at this.
A woman who was on Epstein's plane, she says, I was never on an Epstein plane with a young woman. Right. I never got on this. This is total defamation, a total lie, but I can't disprove it because they won't give me her name. For example, in my case, it's an adult woman. We don't know whether she's a victim. We don't know whether she's a perpetrator. We don't know whether she's a co-conspirator. Why do you hide her name and produce the name of the people who are accused? That's guilt by accusation. That's guilt by association. It's McCarthyism. It's wrong. It's unconstitutional. It has to stop. And the media is playing a role in this. Politicians are playing a role in this. Epstein will never be remembered for this. He will be remembered for inciting McCarthyism that infects America now more than it ever has since the 1950s.
So I want to turn to Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene because I think she understands really well why it is that women who have survived the Epstein scandal would not want to come out and name the perpetrators. So let's go to this post on X where she says, and this right here is exactly why the Epstein victims are afraid to publicly name the list of rich, powerful men. They will get sued, bankrupt, and silenced. releasing all of the Epstein files reveals the truth about everyone. So she's right about that. And by the way, I have personal experience with this, not in that I was ever victimized or preyed upon by Epstein and his cabal of billionaire pedophiles, but because of the fact that Dershowitz, who was Epstein's lawyer, of course, he volunteered to be Epstein's lawyer, and he's the one who secured the sweetheart deal after Epstein was convicted in 2008. Okay, so that's what you should know about Alan Dershowitz. And yes, he has been named in the files. There have been accusations against him, including from Jane Doe 3, who claimed that Dershowitz was totally fine with what was going on. In fact, at one point, she alleges that she was going down on Epstein, and Dershowitz would just casually walk in and have a conversation with Epstein as it was happening. Okay, that's what she alleges. Okay, so it's not just the thing about the plane. It's not just the thing about him getting a massage. He had his underwear on, he alleges. It's the fact that he allegedly knew about what was going on and was providing cover for it. That has also been alleged. Now, anytime I have done a story or talked about or been on a panel with Dershowitz, his MO is to threaten lawsuits, always. Now, I'm a big girl, okay? And I like discovery. I'd like to discover a lot of things. So you want to sue me, go ahead, because I know I haven't defamed him, and I know that there's no merit to said lawsuit. But I also know that getting threatened like that by a guy who's got money is scary. And you know that that could ruin your life. You know that that could bankrupt you if you can't afford attorneys. So that's probably why these women didn't want to come out and name names. Now, the reason why someone like Ro Khanna is able to name names without fear of litigation or a lawsuit is because he did that on the House floor. Why is that relevant? This is something that a lot of Americans don't know about, but members of Congress, public servants, are immune from lawsuits if they are saying something while they are on duty, for lack of a better way of putting it, right? So if they are on the House floor and they are saying something as part of their job, they are protected from the types of lawsuits that these women would probably deal with should they be the ones to make these allegations, let's say on social media or something like that. So that immunity is really important. And if you watch some of the interviews that Thomas Massie has done on cable news, he holds things a little closer to the chest, but when he's on the House floor, he's fiery and he feels free to speak about what's actually going on. And that's because he's got extra protection as a public servant doing his job as a member of Congress.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets a swing. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets a swings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.
I feel for you.
Bill Clinton is currently being interrogated by the House Oversight Committee over his connection with Jeffrey Epstein. Only one problem: Donald Trump is the one who really should be investigated. And another problem: Bill Clinton dropped a huge bomb on Donald Trump during the start of this interrogation. And Jimmy Kimmel had a really good question about all of this, because isn't it all kind of just sitting under their noses and they're just deciding not to look at it?
Congressman Pat Fallon from Texas, he was on Fox News. Listen to this, because it's just bonkers.
So this has never been done before, and a former president's never been compelled to appear before Congress. Is this where this is all heading as of today?
Well, we've never had a former president either this close to a convicted felon either. I mean, it's problematic.
We've never had a former president this close to a convicted felon. We have a current president who is a convicted felon.
By the way, this whole thing of like, oh, we started this precedent, now we can indict former presidents. I don't know. Like, listen, you are president for 8 years. You do not become king. You are not prince. You are not sultan. You do not become God on earth. You are a president who is supposed to serve the American people for 8 years, and then when that's done, you become a normal citizen. And by the way, it shouldn't afford you any other protections or either certainly any other legal protections than any other American citizen. So I don't like this whole thing of like, this is a bad precedent. Like, who cares? If you did something wrong and Congress wants to speak to you, or if you supposedly, allegedly have done something wrong and Congress wants to check it out, I think that's well within their right. I think we should stop babying presidents. I think that's kind of how we got into this mess, to be quite frank. Now, Morgan Freeman, I don't know, where'd he come from? Morgan Freeman, but he's here. He's back. And he is also kind of just speaking truth to power on MS Now.
Well, we have somebody sitting in the White House who's leading us down a shithole. I can't personally understand how a convicted felon, 34 felonious, is that word? Counts of wrongdoing gets to be president. How do you do that? I mean, you say, well, he was camped. I don't care. That ruling went down before he stepped into the Oval Office. So it just doesn't make sense to me. Well, we have somebody sitting in the White House who's leading us down a shithole. I can't, it just doesn't make sense to me.
None of it makes sense to me either. And I don't think it's supposed to. I don't think it's supposed to. In fact, if it made sense, I would be worried. I'd be worried. Now, what is not making sense either is the fact that they're interrogating the Clintons, and Bill Clinton is currently being asked questions about Epstein. Now, I actually, as I said, I'm not against this. I think this is exactly what they should be doing if they feel like there is any sort of evidence and any sort of information they can get from someone, regardless of who they are and what they've done in the past. Like, a former president does not have immunity from being held accountable to us, the people. But it does feel like they want to talk to everyone but Donald Trump, who, by the way, is probably the one who has the most information about Jeffrey Epstein. Here's what Clinton said. Bill Clinton, not Hillary Clinton, who was interrogated yesterday. Before we start, I have to get personal. You made Hillary come in. She had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein, nothing. She has no memory of ever meeting him. She neither traveled with him nor visited any of his properties. Whether you subpoenaed 10 people or 10,000, including her, was simply not right. He went on to say, though my brief acquaintance with Epstein ended years before his crimes came to light, and though I never witnessed during our limited interactions any indication of what was truly going on, I'm here to offer what little I know going on. I'm here to offer what little I know so that it might prevent anything like this from ever happening again. There's a photo of Bill Clinton. And it went on to say here, first, I had no ideas of the crimes Epstein was committing, no matter how many photos you show of me. I have two things that at the end of the day matter more than your interpretation of those 20-year-old photos. I know what I saw, and more importantly, I know what I didn't see. I know what I did, and more importantly, what I didn't do. I saw nothing, and I did nothing wrong. Okay, let's just read this last quote. As someone who grew up in a home with domestic abuse, not only would I not have flown on his plane if I had any inkling of what he was doing, I would have turned him down, turned him in myself, and led the call for justice for his crimes, not sweetheart deals. Okay, he said that would be an unsatisfying answer. I mean, I suppose it's just, listen, again, like, we're not a cult on our side. The only one who's really going to know the truth is Bill Clinton, Jeffrey Epstein, perhaps Ghislaine Maxwell. We don't know. We don't know what Bill Clinton did or did not know. What I like to do in these sorts of instances is I like to shrink it down to size, because I think this can all feel very big. Someone's plane, billionaires, former presidents. But really, these are just people. These are just people in relationship with one another, okay? Now, we just have to ask, in my own life, if there's someone I know and I've hung out with quite a bit, is that an acquaintance? I would say no. And generally speaking, after you hang out with someone a few times, you have a sense of them. Now, it very well could be that Bill Clinton did not know of anything going on with Jeffrey Epstein, but just keep this in mind. Like, think about in your work life. Think about on Facebook with your friends. Think about like your own friend group. That there's always gossip. There's always gossip. And if Jeffrey Epstein, or we know Jeffrey Epstein was doing unthinkable things involving other powerful people, one would have to assume there was some level of gossip going around it. Though people might not have known for sure, there were probably rumors, there was probably speculation, there was probably some sort of gossip around it. Now, was Bill Clinton involved in that? Did he know? He says he didn't. I just think about people I barely know, I'm acquaintances with. I know more about them than I should. Maybe it was different in the 90s. Think about it too like this. When you are, I don't know how many billionaires are there. Back then, what were there, 2,500? I think there's like 4,000 now. Think of a big high school is in the South. Like, how many people are in there? 2,000, 3,000? You probably know most of the people in your school, certainly all the people in your class. I don't know. I just think to me, it just seems like a bit of a leap if I apply what he's trying to say to my own life around people that I kind of do or don't know. It's just hard for me to grasp that he didn't have any idea. He didn't hear one thing. Okay. Now, I just want to say that this is like a smaller thing, but this is Howard Lutnick, who you might remember said he had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. He never wanted his island. And then it later was revealed in emails that he was on the island. And now we found out that this image was deleted where he's on Jeffrey Epstein's island. The government deleted it. And now Rep. Nancy Mace is actually calling for him to take questions from the Oversight Committee. Ted Lieu said, "Dear Howard Lutnick, so how many times did you go to Epstein's island? Dear Pam Bondi, why are you covering up this picture of Epstein's friend Lutnick? And are you really so stupid you think deleting a picture after you post it on the internet will make it go away?" It's very strange. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. And if you want to keep following along with me, then please do hit like on the video. It tells YouTube you like this video, you want to see more of them. And hit subscribe, because then you definitely will get more of these videos. And I'll see you soon. Bye.
Which hero do you think you want to be today?
Open your eyes. Reality is but an illusion.
Now, who am I gonna banish from this match? You'll need a top-notch team to win this one.
The hand of heaven is here. Show some respect.
Round one.
I will protect my sister at any cost.
30 seconds before you attack.
Stand
Get
in
ready.
the way.
My dear sweet Susan Storr.
It's Richards, Leomore, as you are well aware.
Perhaps the two of us have been brought together here for a greater purpose.
Wow. Are your motivations always as transparent as I am? The battle starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You think this is a challenge? Try raising 2 superpowered kids. Anyone willing to help? They look like they mean business.
I'm an open target.
Let's not lose.
Your part, I suppose.
You know, one of the things that stood out is CIA's involvement in mainstream media and Hollywood. And I think a lot of people have suspected that over the years. You know, you see a lot of comments and a lot of discussions about that. But this makes it even more real because there's very specific examples of how they do that, how they approach, what the conversations are like, why they do it. And like we said, this is just scratching the surface. This goes very deep.
During the time much of the world was shut down during COVID,
Breaking news, just COVID-19. Confirmed new coronavirus. A new normal.
Dr. Matthew Alford was at his home in the UK when he received a strange delivery to his door.
I think it was literally in lockdown. You know, I was doing nothing in my life, as you can imagine, and I got a letter through the door, and it was from the CIA, and I thought, this is bizarre.
Dr. Alford is an author and lecturer of the University of Bath who specializes in studying the relationship between the entertainment industry and the U.S. military. After opening the envelope, Dr. Alford found himself reading the personal emails of one of the most famous figures in Hollywood.
Oh, why have I got a letter from the CIA? And why am I reading all of Ben Affleck's emails?
Then he remembered, 8 years prior to receiving the letter, he'd filed a Freedom of Information Act request, seeking to find out if the CIA had secretly worked on the 2012 film Argo. In the movie, which was also directed by Ben Affleck, Affleck plays a real-life CIA operative named Tony Mendez. In 1979, Mendez was part of an elaborate plot to evacuate 6 U.S. diplomats from Iran.
It's on you to protect yourself. That's why we trust and personally use Aura, today's sponsor. Aura does all the heavy lifting to keep you safe online. They take action against these data brokers and companies who are selling your personal information. Going after them directly, you don't have to lift a finger. Aura handles it. But that's not all. Here's where it gets even more serious. Aura doesn't just stop there. They continuously monitor the dark web for any trace of your personal data. If they find your information floating around in places it shouldn't be, Aura will alert you immediately. They'll let you know fast if anyone is trying to use that data to access your credit accounts or even drain bank accounts. And if the worst happens to you, Aura has you covered. They offer up to $5 million in identity theft insurance to help you recover if someone gets a hold of your information and tries to do real damage.
You're
Don't
underestimating
wait
my light.
until it's too late.
That's okay.
Head over to our
Happens all
link,
the time.
aura.com/anonymous, to try Aura free for 14 days. That's plenty of time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data is exposed and start protecting you from these threats.
After the United States Embassy in Tehran was taken over by Iranian Islamists, though 66 members of the embassy staff were taken hostage, 6 managed to evade capture and escape to the homes of the Canadian embassy officers. The CIA needed to figure out a way to get them out of the country while they hid with the Canadian embassy staff. Mendez's plan involved infiltrating the country by posing as Hollywood producers who wanted to film a big-budget movie in Iran.
I got an idea. They're a Canadian film crew for a science fiction movie. I fly into Tehran. We all fly out together as a film crew. I need you to help me make a fake movie.
So you want to come to Hollywood and act like a big shot without actually doing anything?
Yeah.
You'll fit right in.
Though the film was a hit and won an Academy Award for Best Picture, some critics were quick to point out the liberties Affleck seemed to take with the story of what actually happened. Many critics noted how the Hollywood film version seemed to inflate the role the CIA played in the rescue. The Canadian magazine Maclean's wrote, "The movie rewrites history at Canada's expense, making Hollywood and the CIA the saga's heroic saviors, while Canadian Ambassador Ken Taylor is demoted to a kindly concierge." In response to the criticism, in later versions of the film, Affleck would change the on-screen postscript text to read,
The involvement of the CIA complemented efforts of the Canadian Embassy to free the 6 held in Tehran. To this day, the story stands as an enduring model of international cooperation between governments.
And now a brief message from our sponsors.
Selling to the Department of War is hard, especially if you don't know who to talk to, where the real buyers sit, or how to find funding. That's where SBIR advisors come in. They help you find the right buyers, find the money, and write winning proposals so you can get on the right contract fast. Their team of veterans are dedicated to getting great tech into the hands of our warfighters, and they've helped small businesses like yours win millions. If you're serious about selling to the military, go to SBIRadvisors.com, and if you mention PSYOP, you'll get your first month free.
The hand of heaven is here.
And now,
Show some respect.
back to our program.
What Dr. Alford wanted to know is if the CIA itself was involved in Affleck's artistic liberties with the story. Dr. Alford is dirty cinema, the shocking new evidence of government control in Hollywood, and co-produced the documentary Theaters of War. He and his fellow researchers frequently Act requests to learn about the CIA and the military's efforts to influence the movies and TV shows Americans watch. As it turned out, Argo.
And of course, it was that I'd put in a Freedom of Information Act request in 2012 that had taken over 8 years to come through. No one knew that there'd only been actual contact between CIA and producers for that show until this information came through. So there are several of these shows that actually, whether they intended to cover it up or not, basically the information didn't come out that they'd been working on those, that they'd been working closely with the producers.
To win this one.
And, in many cases, the changes that the CIA and military branches were making to major blockbusters and TV shows weren't just minor tweaks to characters for accuracy. What Dr. Alford and his colleagues have uncovered is that in many cases, the military directly oversees key elements of mainstream. Visited the CIA
Make sure y'all stay in the bubble when I throw it down.
In the lead up to the movie. However, document film at the Langley campus was only given after several script reviews by the CIA. Emails between officials, a quote, good news. In an interview with The Guardian leading up to the movie, Affleck acknowledged the primary similarity between what his job as a Hollywood director is and what the CIA does.
One of the themes of Argo is about storytelling and how powerful it is, from political theater to the way we kind of communicate to our children, to the way that we inspire. The clandestine services are both spend most of their time convincing people that something that's not true is in fact true.
He also added this half-joking observation.
I think probably Hollywood is full, and we just don't know it. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to discover that, this was extremely common.
But Affleck was already familiar with what it was like to work. Previously worked with them on the Jack Ryan film, The Sum of All Fears. His former wife, Jennifer Gardner, starred in the TV show Alias, where she played a super spy. The series was supported by producers on it. Garner would even be featured in a recruitment video for future spies.
I'm Jennifer Garner. I play a CIA officer on the ABC TV series Alias. In the real world, the CIA serves as our country's first line of defense in the American citizen and seek a challenging, rewarding career where you can make a difference in the world and here at home. Contact the agency.
But what Matthew Alford and his colleagues have discovered is the connections go deeper than most in the public can imagine.
The US military has worked with Hollywood producers for about 110.
The military has long seen value in being able to affect how they are portrayed on screen.
My soul is not yours to claim.
Even the very first film that was ever made, pretty much the first political film, was literally the Spanish flag coming down and the American flag going up in 18. Second movie. But really, the relationship became much stronger between the military and the Department of Defense in the immediate aftermath of the Second World War, when there was the establishment of the Entertainment Liaison Office in of national security really came into being in the mid-late 1940s.
World War II was sort of a golden age of government propaganda. 42, the military was looking for ways to get messages behind enemy lines. In many cases, PSYOP methods like dropping leaflets were too dangerous in access control areas. However, they saw an opportunity in one of America's popular new trends: scanning the radio dial.
If sudden pain ever hits, in your head or nerves, there's an easy way to make it fade.
One of the surest ways to feel your best is the simple pleasure of being smartly dressed.
At the heart of the American tradition lies an economic system built on opportunity and initiative.
Particularly popular were shortwave radios. Unlike stations found on the FM and AM dials, shortwave signals weren't subjected to the same kinds of regulations that control major broadcast frequencies. Unlike AM and FM signals, shortwave radio signals bounce off the ionosphere and can be transmitted around the globe, even by amateur radio operators. That means that if you have a shortwave radio transmitter strong enough, you can broadcast your message anywhere on Earth, even behind enemy lines. Shortwave broadcasts soon began sending news about the war all over the world.
World News Today, brought to you by Continental Radio and Television Corporation, by shortwave broadcast direct from important overseas capitals, as well as the leading news centers of our own country. CBS correspondents are waiting to bring you a complete report from the world's political and battlefront.
FDR saw an opportunity to send pro-Allied messages into enemy-controlled countries and create the Office of War Information. Part of their job was to operate the shortwave broadcast of a new outlet called Voice of America. Listeners located anywhere on Earth could hear the news of the world, often from a perspective advantageous to American interests. These type of broadcasts remained an important part of American psychological operations throughout the Cold War with the Soviet Union.
The crucial element of his stay in China will, of course, be his talks with Chinese leaders.
The idea of using media as a method of influence had long interested the intelligence agencies, with the CIA identifying movies specifically as powerful instruments of warfare in a 1943 memo titled "The Motion Picture as a Weapon of Psychological Warfare." The stated objective of the formally classified document is to, quote, exploit the potentialities of the motion picture as a weapon of psychological warfare for the United States. Here's an excerpt from the memo.
The motion picture is one of the most powerful propaganda weapons at the disposal of the United States. It can serve many diversified functions. Motion pictures are a potent force in attitude formation, and attitudes are the basis of action and morale. Motion pictures can stimulate or inhibit action. Motion pictures are important in all the major types of psychological warfare, directly in general propaganda, indirectly, in connection with certain aspects of subversive, economic, and diplomatic propaganda activities. Motion pictures can be employed on most of the major psychological fronts. They can be aimed at the people of countries allied to the United States, of the countries occupied by the United States or her allies, or countries neutral to the United States, to inform and to create attitudes favorable to the United States and unfavorable to the enemy.
The memo also discusses the, quote, suppression of motion pictures of enemy origin judged to have potentially subversive influence, and makes note of the military national security strength of having an influential U.S. motion picture industry, the products of which have achieved a worldwide popularity. Domestically, even the White House began to support movies, not just news outlets like it was doing overseas through Voice of America broadcasts, which drummed up support for its geopolitical agenda.
In the late 1960s, John Wayne wrote a letter to President Johnson to say, I want to make a propaganda film about Vietnam because I believe in this conflict. Lyndon Johnson said, fine, you have whatever you want to do that. They made the film Green Berets.
The film was not received well by critics.
If you've ever seen it, it literally ends with John Wayne with his arm around a little Vietnamese kid walking off into the sunset with him saying, hey, this you little lad, this is what it's all about, fighting for democracy and like walking off into the sunset.
The film is not subtle about its thoughts about the Vietnam War, like in this scene in which soldiers answer questions from reporters critical of America's involvement.
Let me put it in terms we all can understand. If this same thing happened here in the United States, every mayor in every city would be murdered. Every teacher that you ever known would be tortured and killed. Every professor you ever heard of. Every governor, every senator,
Every member of the House of Representatives and their combined families, all would be tortured and killed, and the like number kidnapped. But in spite of this, there's always some little fella out there willing to stand up and take the place of those who've been decimated. They need us, Miss Sutton, and they want us.
The CIA, however, took a more behind-the-scenes approach to using movies for its own geopolitical purposes. Their involvement in Hollywood remains clandestine and, in most cases, unofficial. A series of letters were found in the Eisenhower Presidential Library that would later show correspondence between an executive at Paramount Pictures in 1953 named Luigi Lorosky and a CIA officer only known as Owen. That demonstrated just how linked the agency was with major studios. Some of the discussions in the letters revolved around how characters should be presented to favor perceptions about American dignity, particularly in their interactions with foreigners in films. Some projects were killed off entirely for geopolitical purposes, like this one called Gringo. Lorosky's letter reads,
"A comedy vehicle for Bob Hope involving Mexico, bandits, etc. Very funny but very offensive south of the border idea has been killed, done by a U.S. company with a U.S. comedian. It would be most injurious to our Latin American interests."
Another letter notes this creative change the studio made to a character in a film Paramount was developing.
"We have planted the background for the female lead, so wherever the story goes, at least this will have a chance of remaining as an integral part. The girl is now no longer an American girl of dubious virtue, but a nice foreign girl. Whatever she did in her past was because she was on the run after the commies took over the country, which until then had been a very nice place to live in. Not quite as blunt and corny as this, but in essence, this will be the idea."
Lorosky also provides the CIA officer insights into which studio executives the agency could rely on to perpetuate their messages, and which ones, quote, will have to be guided very carefully. Despite being active behind the scenes within the Hollywood studio system, the CIA's strategy was to remain in the shadows, and it did not have any sort of formal office to deal within the entertainment industry. For the most part, they didn't even want to be formally acknowledged in the films. The less people knew about them and their real role in Hollywood, the better. They only wanted any sort of acknowledgement as an organization if it meant helping the institution to survive.
Even though the CIA didn't have a proper office, a proper outfit, they were still able to prevent even the mention of the acronym CIA from its inception until 1959. And the first film that even shows CI is, I think, North by Northwest by Alfred Hitchcock, and Hitchcock removes the A. So, although historians have popularly seen the CIA as not involved in Hollywood, it actually did a heck of a lot in the 40s and 50s behind closed doors. The main historian on this particular thing, the person who wrote the first major book about this, he said that if it weren't for the 3 films that the CIA helped to produce in 1947, probably the CIA itself wouldn't have even existed, because that laid the astroturf, that laid the media landscape for people to accept the creation of this new national security body.
Though interactions behind the scenes with the studios were common with intelligence agencies, the military took a different approach. They would make their relationship with Hollywood more direct by propping up what is known as the Entertainment Liaison Office at the Department of Defense.
The relationship became much stronger between the military and the Department of Defense in the immediate aftermath of the Second World War, when there was the establishment of the Entertainment Liaison Office in the Pentagon, and when all this architecture of national security really came into being in the mid-late 1940s.
For decades, though, the work of these special DoD offices remained mostly under the radar.
My identity must remain a secret.
Dr. Alfred Tomsecker and others got curious about just how involved officials within this office were in the creation of Hollywood projects and started sending out Freedom of Information Act requests about the office's work. Eventually, they learned the truth. In some cases, like the one involving envelopes of Affleck's emails, it would take years to get any response to the requests. But once they started to finally get them in, they made some surprising revelations.
Until recently, the past decade or so, when I was first looking into this in the early 21st century, I accepted the consensus opinion from just a very tiny handful of people who were vaguely working on it, that there were perhaps a couple of hundred films that had been affected over that sort of 100 years of Hollywood by the Department of Defense or the US military. That was very inaccurate. It was also misleading. We were being deliberately misled by the historians involved and by the Department of Defense. In fact, there have been several thousand products by now which have been impacted by the Department of Defense, as well as various other arms of the national security apparatus, including the CIA, Homeland Security, FBI, and so on.
It says, oh no, it's a cargo ship, it says. It says Pilot Khayyam, but it's called General Cargo Ship. It says it's moving at 6 knots. But it's not that big, so I think maybe that's it. I'll show you in a second. Well, I can't tell. How big is it? I'm looking here. Yeah, it looks, it's a decent size. I don't know. I don't know if that's a cargo ship or not. I can't tell. That one's moving. But you see, you can see the ship moving right where my cursor, right where the arrow is. Right there. Not that, I mean, I don't think it's relevant to an attack on Iran, but. The other ship is, that they say is moving is, well, it's like a tanker ship too. You can go to marinetraffic.com and go to the Haifa Bay and see what they have listed. Hey, thanks, Ruth. That's so nice of you. Our moderator, Ruth. That's so kind of you. Thanks, Ruth. I got to thank all of the moderators for moderating a second. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Susan Mann, for being a member.